What's up, everybody? Herschel from High School Top 200, and this is the Top 200 podcast on Monday morning meeting. And this is going to be pretty short, only because of all the games that didn't take place. But I know I shouldn't say it's going to be short because I can talk a bit about all this kind of stuff and go on for hours if I wanted to. If you're new to this channel, if you're new to this podcast, please go and like and subscribe and comment and all that other kind of stuff that you do with those YouTube channels, just to get the numbers up, just to get people I guess watching the channel and keeping an eye on the talent that we have here in New Zealand. Also, when you go into my website, click on some ads and help me out with some of that cash that Google can give out. All that kind of stuff. Don't buy anything. A lot of that stuff isn't that great anyway, to be honest. That's what I think, when I look at and see those kind of stuff. But yeah, just help me out with that kind of stuff, because I love doing this and I want to continue to do this, and I just want to keep this going. And yeah, any companies, please jump on board that support first 15 rugby or high school sports and kids and their dreams. Jump on board with me. Let's sort something out and let's get some more cash going, pushing it into the first 15 rugby. And especially with the other sports. I want to start up the other sports. I'm so desperate to start up all these other sports. And again, like people that have followed me, I tried out basketball and I did it for a year, and it was tough. Like, it was tough just trying to keep up to date with. Actually, it wasn't hard keeping up to date with the scores or the players, but it was like the evaluation of the players and then finding the rankings at the same time. Just for one person is really hard. Like, I'd have to have no kids and no other life after, just to get. If I was single, I could probably do two sports, but it would probably only be like the boys. I want to do basketball for boys and girls. For all sports, pretty much, I want to do boys and girls because we just have a lot of talent here. But yeah, that's if you're a company that does that kind of stuff and you want to support me, jump on board and sponsor me and all that kind of stuff, so I can get out there, find all the other people that are like myself that want to help out kids, and that's what I want to do. I want to hire people that can do this kind of stuff too, and promote schools and players and our sports and our talent to everybody else in the world, and let's get these kids' dreams going, man. That's what it's about. To me, this is what it's about. It's the opportunity. There is, obviously, with this lockdown, it's, we only got a small amount of games, but they were still important. They were still important, not just to the competition, but also to rankings and, all these schools that are going up that are finding their. See, the ones I feel sorry for are the teams that are kind of just putting it together, or they're just right there, right at that point of the team really getting it all together, and now they've got that. They're on their upslope now of the team just winning. And I mean, Scots College is one of those teams that's on that now, and I feel like they're in that position to be called a top 25 school again, after all the little things that they went through, just testing and trying and swapping combinations, things like that. I mean, all that kind of stuff happens anyway, but with their big win over Minor College, and it's not a put down to Minor College at all, but Scots needed to run up the score real big on Minor College for them to be in that light, and even for other schools to respect them the way that they should be respected. 79-21, and then like 40 something of that came in the first half, where Scots was just rolling. They were just on this massive lead, and everything seemed like it was clicking for Scots College. Even the winger, I forgot what, I think he was number 14, where he made a break, he stepped off his right, came back in, and then just as he was falling, he threw like a behind the back pass to Campbell, I think it was, for a try, and it's just stuff like that you you kind of uh, that's the kind of stuff that's being put together now by teams that are looking to get into that overdrive part of their season, and I think Scots College is at that point right now. And I think the other schools have got to be a bit careful. Like, if they beat Town, if they beat Silverstream as well, and just by watching them, I think that they can too. And like I've always thought they were a good team. That's why I ranked them so high in the preseason and coming into the season. But there was just those losses at the beginning that kind of gave me a little bit of a shake of what kind of shake on like some of the faith that I had in that team, and maybe they just were missing a lot of what they did last year. But I mean, like now it actually looks like they have that going for them. All the boys are playing really, really good. All the boys are I guess lifting up their game and really I guess believing in it because Dom's playing really good. Maya's playing really good as well. Um, Ryan's really good. Sione's playing really good too. All these kind of guys. Hans is another one that's been playing good. Um, the Tanu'u kid is playing good too. So like all these guys have all put it together, and I guess it's like just the belief in themselves is working. And so when you have that with a team like Scots College and the way that they play, that belief factor is going to mean a lot to them. And the belief factor in the team that they and how they play, it's going to affect those other schools as well. Because if they get too much confidence, Stream and Town, they're going to have to watch out for Scots College. And they look like they're at that point right now where you have to be really, really cautious of how they go, especially leading up to those big games. The other one that I was looking at was, and I mean, like, because like Stream and White Upper, that game that went on, the Stream 159-22. 22 is a pretty good score, though, that they got. And St. Pat's Town also won 64-12 over Aotea. And 64 is a good score as well, that you're kind of just looking at, being like, well, yeah, that's kind of the amount that you would think that they would get anyway. So they seem to be on track with I guess the way that you think that they're going to score. But those things are important too, because like that the team with scores like that, that the team is really pushing their boundaries. And I don't say this like in a mean way, but I say this in a way that it's more beneficial to your team and the structure of your team and the belief of your team, that even on the weak teams, you push that score line just for yourself so that you don't drop in standards, and you sort of give that other team respect that you want to put your best out even if they are losing. Like if you want to take it easy and then start throwing all these 50 miracle and sort of playing around and let's try this out, that kind of stuff. To me, that's kind of disrespectful to like a team that's really trying to play, giving them this false sense of hope. That's just me anyway. But I would keep playing, and so that when you do get into these hard games, you don't get into a habit of sort of resting or taking a little time off when you get to like the 60-minute mark, and you're like, well, around this time usually we're smashing teams, so who cares? And even these guys that come off the bench, sometimes they come off the bench knowing that the score's already 45-5, and then they're just going, there's no threat of us losing. It's like, nah, but then the attitude that you've picked up and sort of the attitude that you bring onto the field is not the attitude that you really want for when you play big games. And it's not always easy just to switch it on and switch it over. So like the Silverstream in Town and even the Scots College scores, even though they're so high, to me, that's more about that team not letting off, and they're just playing their game and making sure that everything they do is right and everything that they do is within the attitude of We just want to win. Other big scores is the Christchurch boys against Waimea. I didn't think it was going to be that high. To me, honestly, it shouldn't have been that high. 62-12 against Waimea combined, who is actually a really good team. And they played up in Waimea as well. Was really surprising that Christchurch boys came off with such a massive score. Because Shirley boys won 55-5 against Aoraki combined. And that was kind of understandable. But the Waimea one, no, not at all. But I think the worst game out of all of these is probably Stack. St. Andrews played Mid-Canterbury combined and only won by 5 points. And Mid-Canterbury is either the last in that UC championship or second to last or something, or third to last, maybe one of those. Not very many. I don't even think they have a win. I don't even think they have a win this year. Oh, one win. Yeah, they have one win this year. And they're playing the top of the table Stack. St. Andrews scores 35 points. And they let Mid-Canterbury score 30 points. And this is kind of where you think like let's rest a bunch of players kind of thing. Or let's try guys out of position and see what happens. To me, I'm never like that. I think, to me, let's take care of the game first and then everything else after. And I'm not even for a lot of trial. I'm not even for like a lot of trials in the game. Like, I wouldn't do anything too outrageous, like put an open side at second 5 or anything like that, or let's check this guy on the wing and see what he can do. Like, mine is more like, is he fullback? Well, let's see if he can play first 5. Like, that's as like extreme as I would get if I was a coach. Only because I think it's silly to trial things and for it and if it didn't work, it kind of lopsides, the 3 or 4 people around you, which can really affect the team. Now, if that's what Stack did, it definitely did, distract and affect the whole team, because 35-30 is such a... That's like a second... No, I don't think they would put their second 15 into this. I really don't. Well, I hope they didn't, because that almost cost them. And like, imagine if they lost that game, like 5 points. You're right in there. You're right in there with that 5 points, and that's way too close. See, like Mid-Canterbury, so like these are their scores, right? Against Nelson, they lost 75-3. Against Waimea, they lost 41-5. Against Christ, they lost 54-5. Against Rangiora, they lost 70-0. Against Lincoln combined, they lost 15-8. Against Aoraki, they won 13-12, and that's the only one that they have. And against St. Thomas, they lost 70-3, and then against Timaru boys, they lost 55-12. So in terms of like their for and against, it's really, really bad. And the bottom 3 teams in the competition, Lincoln combined, Aoraki combined, and Mid-Canterbury combined, those 3 teams are all around that same area. All around that same, that bottom of the table. But if you just take all those scores, especially from, like, look at Nelson 75-3, Rangiora 70-0, 54-5 against Christ College, and then even 70 St. Thomas 70-3 over Mid-Canterbury, but then you get the top of the table, St. Andrews, only winning by 5 points. I understand that you want to put your bench on and give them a lot of game time. But even that's more like a responsibility of your bench then, if that's the case. That's having your bench understand. It's like, well, if you're on the bench, you're not the players that are on at the beginning really fighting it out. You're coming off the bench. You're playing those last 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 15 minutes. You're not playing the more 35 to 40, 55 minutes of the game. So they're really the ones that have to prove themselves. Now, if that's the case, if they said, all right, let's let our bench all start, let's let them prove themselves. To me personally, they did not prove themselves. If that's the case. If 35-5, if 35-30 against Mid-Canterbury combined, who was one of the last people on the table, if this was a chance for them to like prove themselves, then they did not prove themselves at all. They did not get on there and do what they were supposed to do. So whatever that coaching staff comes up with, and whatever they evaluate from this and take away from this game, they've really got to start looking at their players and saying, where did this all go wrong? Because even though they won, that's not a win to be proud of. And in my eyes, that's not a win to be proud of. That's not a win to start like to go back to the school and start high-fiving and whatevers, because I wouldn't high-five at that. So the last 3 teams of the competition is Aoraki combined is 12th, Mid-Canterbury is 13th, and Lincoln combined is 14th. All the bottom 3 of the ladder. And St. Andrews is on 39 points in the competition, and Mid-Canterbury is on 5. I don't know what you want to call that, but that's not good. That's not good. I mean, I wouldn't be proud of it. I'll be sitting down with my coaching staff really, and just go in there and just blow up the boys. I mean, that's kind of like the era that I grew up in, where you can just blow it up. I don't know how they do it now, if they just go in there and talk to you and have a heart-to-heart or whatever. But if you're pissed off, you're pissed off, and if you have a right to be pissed off, then that's fine. I was always comfortable with that stuff. I didn't care about people yelling at me, especially if you know that you're wrong. It's like, oh, okay. But they've got to fix something. I mean, the coaching staff's smart. It's not like they don't know what's going on. But whatever they tried, it didn't work. Whatever they're looking for, I don't think they got it. Or unless that's what they were expecting, and now they've got it. They've got the answer. But that really is surprising. But at the same time, at least all these other schools look at it and go, well, if we know that you guys tried out your bench, we know your bench is terrible. We know that if we can push you guys to be tired and force you guys to bring on those replacements, then we've got you. Especially if our bench is better than your bench. Like if I was the other teams in the top of the table, like Christchurch Boys and St. Bede's and Nelson and Christ and Rangiora, I'll be pretty happy. Because that's a bit of a tell on where you can have a go at these guys. The other game that I looked at, and I'm trying to get footage of, is at St. Bernard's College, Wellington College, and I knew that this was going to be this was going to be close. and I was picking St. Bernard's to win this as well. And I said it before earlier in the year that Wellington College had to watch out for St. Bernard's because they are such a good side right now, and they're going to push for that fourth spot. I mean, I think have Rongotai played them yet? Because that would be the other one is the Rongotai. Um, yeah, so Rongotai haven't played St. Bernard's either, and they haven't played Wellington. And that's going to be the other trouble for Rongotai as well, if St. Bernard's get on that comfortable road and they're confident in what they can do. Rongotai will have to watch out as well. Because we already know that Scottstown and Silverstream are pretty much up there. But then Wellington is going to have to fight. St. Bernard's is going to have to fight. Whited Up is another team that can can push teams. Unless it's just is Wellington just finals and not semifinals? Because that would be the other thing as well, is that if it was just that, and that would be a worry. That would be a worry for Town, who have already lost. Especially if they lose to Scots as well, that's going to be another one. Because St. Pat's Town have already. Yeah, because St. Pat's Town lost to Silverstream. If they lose to Scots, that's going to be a hard one too, especially if Scots College keep going on this run. Scots is going to have to beat both of them. Or Town's going to have to beat Scots, and Scots is going to have to beat Silverstream for them to balance it out and then go to that. But if they're only playing a finals and not a semi-finals, actually I don't even know what that is yet. I haven't actually looked that up. But if that's the case, then St. Pat's Town can't lose to Scots on their next game, which is this coming weekend or next weekend. But they can't lose. Yeah, they can't lose. But but if they're semi-finals, then St. Bernard's is probably going to be that team, because Rongotai is going to have to watch out. They've already beaten Wellington College, who was supposed to be the other threat. Whited Up is the other one that I guess that they have to that they've played, but they played them before, and they won 24-0. So I think that I think they're out in the open a bit, like they're okay. But that one will be the case as well. Yeah, and there weren't too many other games. I mean, Marlborough Boys, that was a really good one, 69-12. But Rongotai beating Tawa 52-21, that's a good score. Kapiti losing to Silverstream, second 15, 57-0. Upper Hutt is another team I really like, beating Hibs 48-19. Wainui Mara winning over Paraparaumu 24-22. Bishop Viard got a win 39-29 over Onslow College. Taita College won 71-7. Hutt Valley High School lost. Yeah, they lost to Rongotai second 15, 58-12. But I mean, yeah, there's a lot of, because remember there's a whole bunch of schools that didn't play. There's a whole bunch of schools that didn't play, and then it's going to affect them. I guess. Yeah, it's going to affect them because the teams that are on fire right now, hopefully that they don't cool off a bit. I mean, especially someone like Auckland Grammar who just won their biggest game of the season, um, of every season for them. They just lost. They just won, and they're riding on that, and they would have liked to, I guess, take that momentum into what was supposed to be this week, and then hopefully go on to beat Mags, which was one of the matchups that I guess, um, because Mags is such a good side, they could easily pick them off while they're still celebrating one win, and then Mags could take them out in that win, with a win over them and sort of upset them. The St. Kennigan's one against St. Peter's was another one that was one of those riding high ones, and for St. Ken's, with their backline getting better and better and better, to me, the coaching staff would be like, well, we need to play because they're actually getting there. With St. Peter's, their backs are already good anyway. They don't have to have these like warm ups. Having AJ Faleafunga there with Denzel Pritchard and then Jeremiah, I see there as well. Like, it's like, yeah, we're fit to go right now. Like, we don't need this warm up stuff. Where St. Ken's, they need to get into it. They have 4 year 11s in their starting backline with a year 10, and then only a year 12 and a year 13. And so, like, you think, well, yeah, you need something. Like, you need that momentum to carry on. Now that they've got this rest and we don't know how long they're going to be resting for, it's like, well, how long do we need to take for them to get back into it? How long do we need to take for these boys to feel comfortable again the pace, with the pace, the physicality, or are they going to get back into it and just get this really big shock? Because that's what it is for a lot of these younger guys that do come into it. It's like, then they have to sort of relive it again, relive their first game of like, ooh, this game's a bit faster than I'm used to, or this game is a bit faster than what I thought it was going to be, or these hits are a bit harder than what I used to, and then they have to sort of reintroduce themselves to that level again, which is going to be hard for St. Kitts. Next year, it's not going to be a problem. Everyone's going to have to worry about, holy crap, this St. Kitts backline is all back, and they're all fire, and they're all, and then Treya would be back as well as the best halfback in the country. And then he's going to come back and then start destroying as well, with a backline that's already proven with a bunch of young guys. Jade Stewart's still going to be there. Then you still got Dickie there. Then you still got Xavier there as well. All these guys are all going to be back. And then you're going to have to be worried again. It's like, oof. But this year, St. Kitts is going to need, they need these games. They need these games. The Hamilton Napier boys one is the one that the rest of the country was looking at as well, because both of them are unbeaten. Both of them are 3-0 in the Super 8 competition. Napier just won the Moeska Cup. But then, playing Hamilton boys and Hamilton boys is a different. It's just a different experience when it comes to first 15 rugby. Hamilton boys don't lose at home, really. I don't even think I've seen them lose at home. I might have to ask Nigel Houghton when was the last time they did lose at home. Maybe an Auckland Grammar game? But most of the time that I don't even think I've seen Hamilton boys at home lose a game. I've seen Auckland Grammar lose at home. I've seen St. Kitts lose at home. I've seen Sacred Heart lose at home. I've seen Rivalry boys lose at home. I've seen Hastings boys lose at home before. Even Napier boys. I've seen all the big schools lose at home. Hamilton boys, I don't think I've seen them lose at home before. Maybe against Hastings, but like that's just one of those places that they really don't lose. Oh, I've seen them have a draw. And I guess the Hamilton boys, that's more of a loss than a draw. But that Napier one would have been a good test for them. I think the only good thing about this lockdown in terms of, I guess, who it is, but all your main players that are a bit niggly and already got injuries, maybe that's a positive thing, that you can get some of these boys back in those positions that you really need them to be back in. Then they have like a little bit of time, but for the most part, I don't know. I mean, Palmy boys is the same as they were playing Tauranga boys, and Palmy boys needed to get back on this winning streak. Sacred Heart really wanted to have this kind of these games as well. I know the St. Kevin's game against King's High School down in Dunedin, that was a big one for St. Kevin's, and feel like they were up for it, and they really wanted that game. And so I know that was one of the ones that was missing, that people were sort of looking forward to and looking at. Westlake Boys and Manurewa High School, that was one that I really wanted to see, and that was actually the other game that I was going to go to if I went up to Auckland, was because I wanted to go up to Auckland this past Saturday, and I was going to go and watch that one, and then I was going to go and actually watch Kings and Liston, because I wanted to see what Liston looked like, and just see Kings. I've seen Kings a lot, but just see them in person this year and see what all the boys look like in their size and how much they've grown, things like that. Those are the things I'm interested in. I'm always interested in seeing stuff like that. But with all these games being pushed back, I guess with the only exception of Auckland that's going to be stuck in level 3, I don't know what everybody else is going to do. And I mean, you can't. I understand what they're doing and why they asked that there be no spectators, but there's going to be spectators. There's going to be spectators. And even some of the games that I saw online, there were spectators. You just can't stop that kind of stuff. And you can't ask for them. And for me personally, I just think, well, if everyone's going to mask up, and it's going to be in the sun, everyone keep their distance as much as possible, I guess, then yeah, I mean, why not? I understand what the government's asking, but I guess we're all getting sick of it, really. But I mean, what can you do? Your son's there, and you want to watch him play, and yeah, you feel like you're comfortable. But I guess we're just going to have to wait. I'm still planning on going to Whanganui Collegiate to see fielding this Wednesday, if it still happens. And so that's where I want to be on Wednesday, and hopefully I still get to do that. Also, yeah, I guess we just have to wait for all the other games. We just have to wait to see what all the competitions do and replaying this week, or if they skip the games from this week and then just go to whatever the next week is and then make those games up somewhere else. I guess we just have to wait and see what the call is on that. And then hopefully we don't get into another lockdown or to, anything like that. The rankings are going to be changed because Scots College is going up into the top 25. Rangiora beating Christ's College is a big one as well, and I just wrote about it last night. And just looking over the game, just the finish to that game was strange. The finish to the St. Bede's game was strange as well. I mean, I was watching the clock on the film, and that's not even the same clock that the referee keeps, but the one on the film that went over time by like 4 minutes or something like that, and then they ended up getting a penalty in front and kicking it over to beat St. Thomas. But for most of that match, St. Thomas was the more aggressive team. They were the more physical team and they always had, even though the scores were close, they always had the feeling that they were the ones in control of the game. So, to me, when you look at stuff like that, you just think, okay, well, maybe they should have won. But in rugby, it's different, because it really just takes one break, and it could even be a small break for a team just to steal that confidence back, and then depending on what part of the game it is, you could be behind the whole game and still win a game with 2 tries in like 5 to 10 minutes and win the game, which is like a heartbreaking situation if it happens to you. But like that's the sometimes the reality of what rugby is and how it turns out. And that's where the team concept comes into it too. Is that, like, we're a team. It's like we can't just look for our best player and then expect him and another guy to do it all. It's the next guy up. The offload too is also the important. It's like you don't offload to yourself if you're the best player. You offload to somebody else who you expect to have a lot of confidence in themselves that they're going to catch that offload, or that they're going to take it the rest of the field, or that they're going to bump off the next guy, or someone's going to clean out. It's always a team effort. You can't just do it by yourself with just one guy on the team. And so it's like gut-wrenching when you sort of watch a team like St. Thomas play against St. Bede's, and them being the aggressors and the more aggressive ones there, and it just didn't work out for them. In the end, it just didn't work out for them. And it came down to a call penalty right in front of the post, and they just Mason just kicked it over, and it wasn't even didn't even look like it was that challenging, because Mason's a pretty good kicker as well. So Mason Allison's just been that way. He's already done it for a year 12 kid, already started last year, the all year, and he just made it work. And I think it's just some of those defeats that you just kind of have to, I guess, I don't know. What do you coaches say? I'm not a coach. I've never been a coach. But what do you say to your kids in those kind of moments when you know that you've given away a game? Because in that situation, I felt like it was given away. Given away, taken, depending on how you want to see it, where the time went overboard and all that kind of stuff. And it just seemed like the ref was just taking so long. But then what do you say? I mean, I think that's where coaching side comes into it, in terms of refocusing a group that has just lost a game, and I guess encouraging them to see what's ahead of them, I guess. And it's funny too, because I'm not really into like these coaches talks and inspirational whatevers. Like me and Nick Purcell, who was just a guest on my on the podcast before, and we talked about just a little bit about how just the hype of what coaches doing. To me, that's just not me. It sounds cool, but I would never do that like with a team. I'd never talk about the gods are smiling on us, the spirits and stuff, like the ancestors of whatever. Just tell me what my role is. Let's get to it. That's kind of how I'm with that. It's like, you don't have to motivate me. I'm motivated. That's why I'm here. But yeah, that's an interesting thing, because like I talk to a lot of coaches, and obviously the time has changed. The times have changed where all the rah-rah coaches that yell and scream and all that kind of stuff, and that's fine. Like, I never cared about it. I mean, maybe other people did, about their feelings getting hurt, and those are things that I guess my generation look at as soft, but this generation now, that's important to them, that they feel validated in their stance and feelings, and like, don't yell at me, but like, just tell me in a nice, like, I don't get that. Personally, I don't get that. But some kids are like that. There are some kids that don't care about the yelling, but some kids are like that, where they're just like, I don't feel appreciated. I don't feel. Yeah, okay. I don't know how I would handle it, but it does actually take a special person to be a coach to kids now. And this is where I feel like it's important that teachers become the coaches and the best coaches, because teachers know how to deal with kids. Obviously, I'm not a teacher. I don't know how to deal with kids. I was brought up with just see that over there, just get over there and just do it. I don't care about anything else. Just do what I'm telling you to do. I respond more to that kind of stuff. And it's funny, because when you watch programs like Last Chance U, not this season's one, but the last season's one, where that guy was just a yeller and a screamer, he was a rah-rah guy, and some of the guys just didn't take to it because they felt it's like, what is this? Why does he have to scream at me? It's like, bro, just do it, man. Like, that's all I was thinking. It was just like, just do it. Let him yell, let him lose his voice and whatever, and just do what you're doing. But it's always different. I guess some people just take it differently. Some people read into it a bit more than they should. Like for myself, like I really don't care. It's just like it's funny because if people know Jeff Green here in Hamilton, who's a basketball coach, awesome basketball coach, like one of the best guys that you could have as a basketball coach, who teaches basketball fundamentals in the way that it should be taught, just not in the way that he does it, where he just drops f bombs. Like if you had like a beep button on all his swearing that he does in games, like you might as well just run that the whole time, and like there'll be more beeps than there will be actual words. But he's like a good coach because he knows how to coach you to do something. It's just that when he gets angry or when he loses his temper, he starts swearing. That's funny. Like it's funny to me. It's funny to watch, and people getting disgusted on the sides. Like, just let him. This is just how he is. Just what he does all the time. But he's funny. Like I don't know. I don't know how people feel about coaches. I never really. I was more just there for just the information. Just tell me what I need to do. Let me get it done. That's kind of how it is. I don't know what's gonna happen next week. I don't know what's gonna happen with all the games, and we just gotta wait. Just gotta wait. And hopefully this year gets back on track, and they find some common ground on where and what we can do. I think we just have to wait for Auntie Jacinda Arden to make a call. See what happens, but I mean, important thing to me is keep safe. That's what I think. Keep safe, keep happy, be kind to everybody. Don't be too much of a clown out there. Save some stuff for everybody else in the shops. Don't panic buying all that rubbish. And Auckland, we got your back. Get it done. Stay inside, please, so we can all open up and carry on. We're leading the world in this, so let's just keep going so we can play some sports and have happy lives and all that kind of stuff. Herschel From High School Top 200. Love you all. Peace.